And we are live. The red light is on, the counter is counting, and we are here for Wrestling This Trash. 50 filthy fucking episodes of this goddamn show. Yes, it's five times however many to get you 50. There you go. I hate math.
Wow, that was bad, B-Rob.
I'm sorry. But joining me on this festivus of professional wrestling. See, I got my Randy Orton pose right here. Show off my tattoos because anomaly in here sporting his and shit. Yeah, I even got rotating the chair. Do my what is that? Robert Roode, glorious. But anyway, we're here celebrating 58 episodes of Wrestling This Trash, and joining me for this momentous occasion is some of the founding fathers of this show. Quick backstory: the Random Rambles with Rob, which is the main show that I host, you can see all the advertisements in the background and everything, was originally going to be a professional wrestling broadcast. But I listened to a lot of people that I respect in the wrestling broadcasting game, and a little bit behind the scenes work with that stuff. Just taking notes, being up on the dirt sheets, rumors, all this other bullshit. And I was just like, yo, tranquilo, homeboy, that's too much for me. I fly by the seat of my pants. I make everything up as I go because this is truly the randomness of me. So I was like, fuck that couch. But over time, I run into people who know that I'm a fan of professional wrestling, and they always bring up wrestling to me. They always, I don't know how it looks on y'all screens, but diagonal down here, one Mr. Anicelli always texting me and calling me, talking about professional wrestling and whatnot. And then me and Anomaly share a kinship as far as New Japan goes, because I'm relatively new to it, and he's a little bit more of a connoisseur, if you would, and he's relatively new to the game of wrestling this, not wrestling this trash, New Japan and whatnot. And we have one below me. I don't know how it is on your screen. Is one Jay Sandlin, who have I have dubbed as the wrestling this trash historian. He's been
What's
educated.
up?
If we had more screens, it'd be like the Brady Bunch. It'd be talking to you. Hey, man,
Man, I hate living under you. You are a terrible, terrible roommate.
I'm sorry. I'm
Ah.
trying. I'm trying to reschedule my tap dance lessons while you at work. But we got Jay Sandlin here, or whatever, just opening my eyes to different ways to help run and produce this show, bringing up historical facts about professional wrestling and tidbits, otherwise unknown to the common wrestling fan. So,
Tidbits.
yes,
That makes
tidbits.
me that makes me just think puppies.
uh, Yeah, tidbits on Wit Talk, on Wit Bits. All right, fuck it. All right, anyway. That was another bad one. You could boo me. I wish I had my sound effects in here. Does it work?
Boo.
No? I don't think y'all can hear it. I can hear it just fine though. But here we are to celebrate 50 freaking episodes of this goddamn train wreck. So what are we gonna do for this momentous occasion? We're gonna talk about our top five favorite wrestling matches slash moments in our time of knowing professional wrestling, and then we will follow it up with the top five what ifs in wrestling history. What if you know your aunt was had balls? Would she be your uncle? What ifs like that? I don't know. That's how it works sometimes. I don't know. So who who who
Who?
who
Who?
would like to share their first of their top five?
I'll I'll go because I'm the young buck.
Super kick.
So I went off pretty much like things that I either witnessed live or just things I lived through that I just were iconic for me for certain reasons. My number five one, I don't know if you guys remember Armageddon 2005. It was here in Providence, Rhode Island. It was Randy Orton versus The Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell.
Yes.
And that was one of the first times I started taking live. I absolutely loved him. It was just crazy seeing a Hell in a Cell match because back then in like 2005, it wasn't a pay per view like it is now. You didn't see it as often as you see it now. You know what's going to happen. So that to me was just crazy because I think I was in like seventh grade, and Armageddon was always on my birthday weekend. And this year, I believe that year was actually on my birthday, so I get to go live for my birthday. just seeing it was pretty cool. And then, like, I guess the sadness part of it, it was the first pay-per-view I believe they did following Eddie Guerrero's passing. So they did a lot of like memorial for that. Not trying to bring up another past guy, but that's when they were doing, I believe it was Booker T and Chris Benoit in that Best of 7 series for the U.S. title. Those were pretty good matches. I got to see that. So, but yeah, just seeing The Undertaker win, have the whole urn, get on top of the cell. You know, he was obviously in 2005, he was in his prime. So to me, it was just like, I don't know, I feel like I was witnessing history, even like I said, because I was so little. Number 4, it's actually fairly recent. Watching Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles at Money in the Bank Live last year. Even WWE, they put that in their top 10 matches of the decade. And I don't know if you guys remember, that was just friggin' an amazing match. And that's like, you know, AJ Styles, you got the best in the world. Then you got Rollins, who's the champ, who at that time still a face. So one of the random times, no pun intended, that they had the face versus the face. And like I said, I thought it was an amazing match. So much back and forth. You never knew who was going to win. Number 3, I went with Taker, quote-unquote, retiring in 2017. Ugh. Because, like I said, I've been a huge Taker mark from the get-go. Yeah, retiring. He's done, I actually counted, I think he's done like 6 or 7 matches since then. But
son of a bitch.
At that time, I remember, I think I was actually texting Rob, but yeah, you know, you seen him drop the coat, the hat, the gloves, kiss his wife on camera. I'll admit, I got teary-eyed. I thought that was the end of my favorite, one of my favorites of all time. I would say probably favorite because The Rock left a while, you know what I mean, before that. But, you know, I was like, damn. Like, I was really butthurt because I didn't think I was, and I still haven't seen him since, but anyway. So that was just iconic to me, seeing that, because obviously that would have transformed the whole business, as you see now, when he actually, quote-unquote, retired in the last ride. Thank you, Taker went around crazy on the internet. Friggin', they dedicated episodes to him on SmackDown and stuff.
It's fucking work.
Number 2, I went with Rob when I were together. Kofi winning at WrestleMania.
Yes.
That was sick. You know, between the history of, you know, seeing an African American, you know, win the WWE title like for the first time, and then just Kofi. At the end of the day, that dude is the underdog, and that dude's been delivered shit for some of his career.
Yeah.
And just because, you know, one unfortunate person's injury, you know, led to Kofi. In the end, he actually had a good reign, I thought, went like well over 100 days and stuff. But just seeing that and just seeing like the people around me, like seeing people like teary-eyed and stuff like that, watching it, and, you know, nothing wrong with that, but it was just sick. Like, me being there live, I think that should have been the main event.
Yeah. Me jumping up and down, clutching my Kofi Kingston shirt, like, yeah.
Yeah, Rob was losing it the whole time. Rob, that day we were there, Rob just kept thinking of scenarios of how somehow Kofi was going to win and then Lesnar would come out. And then, as none of us knew, but Lesnar and Rollins started the show, and Rob was like, shit.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, he gonna come out later and goddamn steal the belt from Kofi or some shit, or Paul Heyman gonna pull some shenanigans and challenge him and he gonna whip his ass, which ultimately kind of happened later on down the line, is how he ended his title run to Brock Lesnar and some fucking bullshit.
But it's funny because Kofi's in the ring, like, celebrating with the shirts, the actual WWE belt, not the Planet belt. His kids, Rob was just like, I'm happy, but get the fuck out the ring. Get the fuck out the ring.
I was like, fade to black. Get the hell out of there.
Rob's thinking, quit while you're ahead.
Yeah,
Rob, I would have to say that I think the way that his title reign is ended almost threw a lot of cold water on it for me.
Kind of, in a way. It was almost like one of those, you know, those epic war movies, or a movie about a lone warrior fighting with his band of misfits and shit. And, you know, they've been through so many battles. They've been to, you know, conquering lands and all kind of other crazy shit for a motherfucker to trip over a rock and hit his head and die. You know, you just be like, not like this.
Yeah.
I'm going off topic here because I need people's opinion. Just came to my head, but friggin', remember like in like the 2000s, like the Attitude Era, late 90s, 2000s, you would have a lot of title reigns in a year. Like Triple H is what, a 14-time champion, but sometimes he'd only hold it for a month. They would change the belt a lot. I think they need to bring that back.
Mick Foley's combined title reigns equal less than 60 days with the WWF Championship.
Almost sound like Sasha Banks.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just, I think
she's had more, but you know.
Because you got to think. Like, think about it, McIntyre. When he loses the title, will he ever get the title again? Kofi will probably never get the title again. Like,
I hope that's not the case. I hope Kofi does get the title again.
Absolutely.
It raises a good question. What actually makes a great title reign?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the length of time? Is it the quality of your entertainment? Is it your rivalries? You know, you can have a short title reign with great rivalries and be memorable. Or is it the way that you won the belt? Sometimes that's all that people remember is how you won it. I'd say like Daniel Bryan and Chris Benoit are examples of that.
Mm-hmm.
We see it as a great reign, and Kofi will be like that as well. It's a great reign because of how he won it. You couldn't top the moment. I think the way he lost it, though, because he was in that position as being, you know, the first African-born WWE champion, I think it was cheapened the way they took it off him. I think it was almost borderline disrespectful at the end of the day.
I do too.
So,
and then they just got to stop.
Almost in my mind, you know, when they
the
announced the match and everything with Brock and Kofi or whatever, I was like, God damn it, it's gonna be competitive this time. It's gonna be revenge for Beast in the East when he tossed Kofi fucking around and shit. And I was like, 7 seconds. Oh damn.
And he hadn't gone. That was the point. That was almost to say, we let you do this, but you've not gone anywhere since Beast in the East. You're still what we need you to be. That's the transitional guy, the opener, the put on a great match, but you're not more than a hell of a hand. You're a mechanic.
It was almost like, just be lucky what you got, motherfucker.
And when someone is seen that way, you know, and I'm not saying it's a race issue. Some people make it a race issue. But I think in general, when someone is seen that way by management, by Vince, and now I guess by Triple H, it is very hard to move up from that position. The only way you can really do it is by establishing yourself as a great interview, which is how Steve Austin was brought in to be a mechanic, to be a worker. That's why they gave him that ringmaster gimmick and put him in the $1 Million Man's shadow. They didn't know he could interview the way that he could.
They just need to do things more different, though. Like, and then I'll go into number one. But like, think about it. It's always the past. I'd say since 2014, who's going to be the underdog to finally beat Brock Lesnar? They're going to win the Rumble, then they're going to win at Mania. And think about it. When's the last time when the title wasn't vacant? I can only think of one. At least I can. When the title changed, that wasn't WrestleMania or SummerSlam. The last 5 years, the only one I can think of is when The Fiend just won in Crown Jewel at Saudi Arabia. Yeah. But think about it. Think about it. We all know neither belt. Well, the Swamp match, I guess, isn't for the title, but.
There was always Rock taking it off Punk so they could give us Rock Cena too.
Yeah.
And you know what? I wouldn't have been so mad at that decision because obviously at the time, or even now, how often will you have The Rock? You know, so I wasn't too mad with that decision to put the strap on him, but I was fucking pissed because CM Punk lost one of the longest, you know, I think that was when he was on his title reign streak, right? Longest reign in modern era history and all this other bullshit.
Yes.
This motherfucker lost to goddamn people's elbow. What the fuck?
I agree. I thought it would take a couple of finishers. You know, it wasn't a WrestleMania event, but it should have been treated like a WrestleMania.
It wasn't even multiple people's elbows. You know, I don't even think he took the rock bottom in that whole match.
And I agree with you. B-Rob. And then I'll add on amendment on the floor. I would have forgiven this heinous act had they merely given CM Punk the main event at WrestleMania with The Rock. Punk had earned that spot. He had this whole summer of Punk, year of Punk that had been derailed. But if he had main evented WrestleMania against The Rock, it would have really redeemed that whole title reign and season of Punk. And Rock would have put him over because he put Cena over, and he wasn't going to be around to defend the title anyway. So That's my
Yeah,
opinion.
and
And if that had happened, we would still have CM Punk in WWE today.
And that's their problem too, though. They think big matches need the title. Like when Lesnar and Goldberg fought at Mania, and Goldberg was champ. They could have had that match and then made Kevin Owens versus Jericho for the title, right? Then this year, they did not need Goldberg and Roman Reigns to be for the Universal title. That is a big match itself. That easily could have been the Fiend versus Cena for the title, and we all know same result would have happened. Cena would have put over the Fiend. But instead, you have, which we saw Braun's match, which I was happy Braun won, obviously, but that probably would have been damn near the same thing with Roman. There was no way that was going to be a long competitive match. Spear, 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 spear. Roman gets 4, Goldberg gets 3. It's it. That's a big match field, though, in itself. But yeah, then I got number 1. Like I said, this is like the young boy to me. I still think it's great, but like I said, I was little, like very little when I was watching it live. But I was a big fan of the WCW, WWF invasion. Now I know people who rolled over were like, damn, that sucked. And I look back at it, they didn't get all the big stars like they could have. Like the NWO, Goldberg, Sting, none of them came. They got Booker T, I think, was the biggest star. I think that came from WCW. But I'll never forget watching the Survivor Series, the winner takes all. And I was like I said, I was a little kid, so I didn't know any of this shit was scripted or anything like that. So I'm watching it at my house, like jumping around, going nuts, because I'm like, the WWF can't lose. They can't lose. The company can't end. They can't end. And then when Kurt Angle came out, hit Austin with the title, rock bottom, and then Vince comes out, like raises his arms. Remember, I was like, what is it, 2001? I was like 7 or 8. And I was just running around my house, like losing my shit. So I was like, yeah, we won.
We won, right? We did it.
Like I said, so that was mine because I was like, my true, like, I was bought into everything that was going on. Because it was shortly after that is when I started realizing, all right, shit's getting scripted. Because just with age, it was getting to the point. But that was probably mine because, like I said, that was just insane from my perspective as a little kid's perspective. Because I thought the thing I loved, that I watched every Monday and every Thursday at the time, SmackDown, was going to end. And it didn't. So, I don't know. Might be whacking your guys' opinion, but yeah.
No.
Well, those are mine. So
The invasion angle suffered, and I don't know if you meant you liked the invasion angle itself or the years of programming that followed, because you mentioned Goldberg, and that came later than the invasion angle. He had a contract with AOL and Time Warner that he was not going to give up. And, other guys like Sting, Flair, the big guys all had those as well. So you get the idea of, well, do they give up that guaranteed money to stay home and not risk their bodies to sell out for a contract that may be, I think, because Booker T was one of the few that sold his out, and he maybe got 50 cents on the dollar. But it's like, so, and in Booker's mind, he's thinking, as hot as their programming is right now, I'll make that money back. And I'm sure he did. But guys, who were older, you've got Sting, who's already in his mid-40s. He's actually the age that Ric Flair was when Flair put Sting over at the Great American Bash 91. He was the same age. He was the same age Flair was then. And at the time, he and Lex Luger were good buddies. They wanted to be main eventing, and they wanted to be on top. You'll remember they kept getting put in a tag team together and moved off to the semi-main, high on the card, but not main eventing for years. They had been saying to each other, Flair just needs to retire, like he needs to let guys like us take the spot and run with it because he's too old.
Sounds like somebody I know.
It's an old argument. And frankly, Sting did get his chance on top, and Flair ended up getting the spot back. So it's not always about age. But in any event, that's why the invasion didn't work. They just couldn't work out the contracts for the first 90 days to 6 months, so they blew off the invasion angle early. Some have argued that Vince McMahon should have just reached in his pocket and paid the guys. And I used to agree with that. And so I thought, well, if Vince reaches out and pays off these $1 million contracts to guys and then pays them top money again, what does that say to the rest of the roster? Hey, where's my $1 million payday for being here and working every week? So he would have had to have not just reached in his pocket for WCW, he would have had to have reached in his pocket for his own roster too. So what do you do in that situation? I don't know. It's easy to play Monday morning quarterback and judge it in hindsight. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know the legalities, but I would have tried to bring in every big star I could. And if I couldn't, I would wait and do the invasion when I could and gradually bring in the lower card guys to work.
Okay. And then like the whole 90-day thing and whatnot. I think last night at Slammiversary was the end of a lot of these WWE 90-day.
Who did we see? We saw Heath Slater, Eric Young, Carl, and Gallows.
Yeah, and then EC3.
EC3. Did EC3 do anything, or was he just on a video?
It was a freaking Marvel end credit scene and shit.
So he was doing like Rock during his feud with Cena and bringing it via satellite. Got it. Gotcha. Yeah. EC3. Yeah. He's a good-looking guy. Yeah. That's a handsome man. I don't mind admitting EC3 is a handsome man.
Mm-hmm. So, we'll once we have round robin top 5, we'll come back around and hit the honorable mentions real quick. But who want to go next?
It's either me or Anomaly. What do you say, Anomaly?
I mean, I'll go if you want.
Yeah. Go ahead, hit it up.
All right. Well, I'm a little bit older, and I really put a lot of thought into these. What I thought was the most significant top 5. My first one, and because I'm an old ass bastard, Bobby Heenan brings out the NWA title on WWF TV. So
that's a good one.
In Ric Flair's arrival. That was revolutionary to me.
It's a perfect
Yeah, I mean, like when you talk about wrestling, especially at that time and era, because everyone had Hulk Hogan shoved down their throat to the point to where I honestly think I was brainwashed by Hulk Hogan. I really do. That's why I say my prayers, eat my vitamins, and train on a regular basis. Hulk Hogan fucking brainwashed me. WWF brainwashed me. But Ric Flair was the fucking man, and I knew it. Even at that age, in the 80s, I'm fucking watching Ric Flair on NWA, and I'm like, that's a damn champion. To see the big gold belt in Bobby Heenan's hands, and I knew some shit was about to go down. That was a significant moment in pro wrestling to me. Because I knew Flair was on his way, and he was going to fuck shit up. And in all honesty, I think that his time in WWF at that point is underplayed. Because he really did make a significant difference. He won the Royal Rumble, third entry. Held the world title there. Showed that he was a Class A world champion. I mean, Ric Flair did his damn thing at that point in time.
I totally agree with you, especially when what you said about the big gold belt being the one that he brings on TV, because that was such in a lot of people's opinion, I mean, that's the most well-designed belt there's ever been. And the way that you mentioned Bobby Heenan being so good at what he did, the way that he brought in Ric Flair and called him the real world's champion, which if nothing else, that legitimized WCW a bit more than it had been before. It really did. I don't know if that was an intended consequence. And WCW really hurt from losing Flair and the belt. Because do you guys know why Flair had got legally to keep the belt?
No.
They wouldn't refund his money. He left a deposit and they wouldn't give him his money back. So he said, fuck you. I'm taking the belt on WWF TV. And that's what he done.
The NWA champion had to make a $25,000 deposit on the belt to hold it. We all know Ric Flair loves to hold the belt and lose it. Hold the belt and lose it. That's why he's the 16-time plus champion. So he had been leaving his deposit in arrears. And with interest, it was over $30,000 that they owed him. So when he called Bill Watts about leaving for the WWF, Bill Watts said, well, Flair, you need to give me the belt, and you need to, send the belt back, and we'll talk to you later. And Flair said, well, you can write me a check for $25,000 plus interest, and I'll see about giving you the belt back. And Watts just hung up on him. So Flair got to take it on what was it? The main event show. Was it Saturday Night Main Event where he debuted with Heenan?
Yeah. And
Pre-Raw day.
Heenan debuted the belt before then, and he started a program with Roddy Piper originally. And Roddy Piper, he kept on throwing Ric Flair in Roddy Piper's face, and Roddy Piper made the greatest little coin phrase I'd ever heard at that point in time. He said, "Ric Flair, I scare Flair." And I was like, dude, this is gold. Even at that age, I'm watching it, I'm like, this is gold.
I agree with you. And Anomaly, I really agree with what you said about his time in WWF in the 90s being underplayed. But I think it would, the reason for that is because they didn't give us Flair Hogan at that time.
They did it house shows, but the matches were horrible because Hogan and Flair didn't have a good chemistry. And I seen that. I had an old Coliseum video of a dark match where it was Ric Flair and Sid Vicious versus Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper.
Oh,
Hogan
yeah.
and Flair, they did not have any good chemistry. It was bad.
Well, WCW gave it to us, 1994 Bash at the Beach. I thought it was actually a decent match for Hogan. So,
well, if you fuck up with a person enough, I mean, you'll eventually get it right, I guess.
And money played a role too. They, for some reason, didn't think that match was going to make any money because of what you alluded to, the brainwashing of Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan doing his thing, conquering the bigger giants, the monsters.
Yep.
They thought that was the bigger money match. So Hogan got Sid that year, and Flair got Savage, which is always great. But it should have been Flair and Hogan. If he could make it with Savage, he could have made it with Hogan.
It should have been. I agree. And, you know, with the WCW Hulk Hogan Ric Flair matches, they actually had 4 matches, and they split the 4. They both won 2 and 2. Flair cheated both times to win in the epic incident where he hit Hogan in the eye with Nancy Sullivan's shoe, and then Hogan came out with the wrong eye bandaged later on in the program. I was like, dude, kayfabe is over. Oh my fucking gosh. So I mean, and then on an honorable note, that same point in era, Iron Anderson beat Hulk Hogan twice and beat Ric Flair twice in WCW.
Hitting in the eye with a shoe is a little bit better than a few years later when he threw a fucking fireball into Warrior's face. I was like, is this fucking Super Mario Brothers or something? Did he grab the red flower in the ring?
And he did it horribly as well. Horrible.
Yeah, it didn't even go. It went off in his own face. Yeah. That's called shooting with the flash paper, the wad of flash paper. So that's why Hogan shot his wad with the Warrior.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go on to my
second. Really, there's no giggling to that? Come on.
I mean, it was funny. I'll go on to my second one. Significant. Hulk Hogan slams Andre at WrestleMania 3. This is significant in pro wrestling. It's a significant moment. Regardless if Hogan did it prior to, regardless if Harley Race slammed Andre, regardless if Antonio Inoki slammed Andre, regardless if Jerry Lawler slammed Andre. At that point in time, in 1987, Hulk Hogan slamming Andre at WrestleMania 3 was one of the greatest moments in pro wrestling history.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a passing of the torch.
Yeah, I can remember watching that as a youngin and whatnot. I didn't watch it as it was occurring, but I got to see it on relive it through video cassette. So I can remember watching those. I had historically a cassette tape with the first 5 main events for WrestleMania and whatnot. So I would usually watch that over and over again. But I seen that one on some other tape. I can't remember what it was. I can just remember sitting in the kitchen because my mama was always watching goddamn soap operas in the living room, and we had a little tiny TV and VCR in the kitchen. Also, because when she was at work, she would take that additional VCR and TV and record soap operas while she was at fucking work, and I couldn't even watch shit in the kitchen because I couldn't fuck with the VCR and eat my cereal, and it was just a whole bunch of bullshit. But anyway, I was sitting in the kitchen watching this tape, and I can remember being a little kid just sitting there, just jumping up and down because he picked that big motherfucker up.
Right. It made Hulk Hogan a superhero. It really did. Just seeing him pick up Andre like that.
And you know what you said, but you know what you said about kayfabe dying. There was that whole program is a lot of when kayfabe died as well, because they just pretended that a lot of things that had happened on TV and shows before, they acted like they had never happened. With saying Andre had never been slammed before, or Andre had never been beaten before, or Andre never had this, all this stuff that had happened before. He had been slammed before, he had been beaten before, but they just totally did a retcon.
Yeah, and that's just WWF. That's just WWF, WWE revisionist history. We know that to be true.
Yeah,
we do. But it was pretty open. They're like, we're going to get away with this because it's going to be such a big moment. They're not going to care. And I'm sure there were people, if they'd had message boards back then, who would be like, OMG, wrestling is dead. Did you just hear what they said? Let's go in the chat rooms and complain about it.
Oh, dude, I'm glad technology progressed the way it has.
Get on Twitter. They're tweeting Andre, their hate, the hate speech about his gigantism. That's how it would be.
Twitter ruined wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know if it did or if it. I don't know. I think it actually just exposed a lot of ugliness that's always been there, like we had with the speaking out movement recently, which resulted in a lot of resulted in a lot of firings and hopefully removing some very bad apples from the pool and maybe making the business, safer for everybody. I hope.
I agree.
On a side note, Anaselli, in the chat, we have one Eric Smith said he went to MOS school with you.
The what?
Who? Sorry?
Eric Smith said he went to MOS school with you.
Oh, yeah. Hey, what's up? But, yeah.
I was about to say, I don't know what that is. Man of Steel school?
Yes, exactly. That's what us Marines go through.
Nick's kind of got Superman hair. If you can do a curl down the middle of your forehead, have Superman going on.
I mean, if he put glasses on, he looked like a totally different person. I wouldn't even recognize him.
I don't mean to get off the subject, but I really hope Tim Cavill gets to play Superman again.
He will.
You think so?
He will.
If he doesn't, I'm coming after you, B-Rob. I know where you live up there.
Shit.
Don't make me come up there.
Hey, man, quit shaking my shit.
You're like Canada. You're the apartment living above Beth House.
All right, what you got for your third one, Nama?
This is a dark time in wrestling, but I think it's significant. The Montreal Screwjob.
Oh,
obviously.
And I'll tell you why. Of all of the tradition that Bret Hart spits and spews, he killed kayfabe completely after that match because all of the dark side of the ring shit came out. I mean, this man just totally pulled the curtain and let everybody see David Copperfield make the statue disappear. It's fucked up. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I love Bret Hart. I think he's one of the greatest of all time. I don't know if he's the best, blah, 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 fucking blah, but he is fucking awesome and he was a great performer. But he pulled the fucking veil and let everyone see the darkness. And I mean, the Montreal Screwjob, man, it changed the game. We're at wrestling right now. The point in junction we are at wrestling right now is because of the Montreal fucking Screwjob. So you got to say that was a significant moment.
You've got to say it was a significant moment. Yeah. It is a watershed moment, but I'm probably going to sound like the one wearing a tinfoil hat and suggest that maybe Kevin Nash is right. Maybe Scott Hall is right. Maybe everybody got worked.
Maybe.
If they did, it's the best work of all time.
Yeah, and if they did, it's still significant.
It's one that apparently the people involved will, if it is a work, the people involved will not admit that it's a work. I think maybe they agreed to the last one living. One of those.
That's why I said that'll
whoever's left of it. Because Vince and Brett would have had to have gone old school. Whether that happened just between them or whoever else was involved, they all said, "Let's go old school about this."
That would probably have to be the last shred of kayfabe ever to exist. And that can go in the Smithsonian if that was ever.
And for Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, who granted were not with the company back then, but in some ways they knew Vince as well as anybody. The Clique knew Vince. Obviously, one of them became his son-in-law. So the guys know Vince pretty well. For them to say, Vince would not let that happen on his TV if it was a shoot, You're saying that Vince let all that happen, that Vince just, it happened outside of his control? They're like, no, he's a control freak. He only let you see what he wanted to see. So,
which we saw the Royal Rumble 2005 when he was so mad he tore both his quads.
Yeah, that's also a nice moment. I don't know. Whether conspiracy or really good work or not, I think we may never know the true story until maybe there's only one.
Pop, baby. The world would never know.
Yeah,
and that makes it that much more significant. Number 4, this is kind of a more recent one, and I think it's very significant. And I actually got into a argumentative conversation with one Road Dogg, Jesse James, over this in a wrestling group. AJ Styles run in New Japan. It is very significant. Not only his run in New Japan.
Okay, his run, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why. For one, yes, Jeff Jarrett brought New Japan to the eyes of the United States when he brought the pay-per-view here, Wrestle Kingdom 9.
Yeah.
AJ Styles was getting people to watch it before the actual Wrestle Kingdom pay-per-view because he was having such amazing matches with all these different fucking guys. And people were like, dude, that's AJ Styles from TNA. Yeah. That's the main reason most people watch TNA. Was AJ Styles
in Japan until AJ got there?
Exactly.
You're making this
exactly. And you know the
Everyone's
match
like,
he
you know
had
this Bullet Club stuff. I was like, no, but I know AJ Styles.
Exactly.
And that's another thing as well. AJ Styles did what I wish they would have done with CM Punk. That's when he took the title from TNA and he left and he went around to different promotions defending it and whatnot. And CM Punk just took the belt, went home for 2 weeks, and came back with new music. And I was like, this is bullshit.
They should have kept him off longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, if you look at the matches AJ had with Minoru Suzuki,
oh, my God.
I mean, that match is just probably the most hardcore fucking match you will ever see in your life. I mean, Minoru was hitting him with some fucking bombs in that match. And AJ just took it like a G. And
what amazes me about New Japan is the competitors that they have. Like one you mentioned there, Minoru Suzuki, old ass motherfucker, but moved like he in his 20s and 30s and shit. I'm just like, yeah, damn.
And I mean, Minoru Suzuki is my hero on so many different levels. I mean, he was in Pancrase before he even was a pro wrestler. I mean, this dude tapped Ken Shamrock out twice. Well, I mean, he's one bad motherfucker. He's probably one of the most craziest son of a bitches alive.
Yeah.
He could fight Haku.
Yeah, he probably could.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it because if it happened, I believe the world would implode on itself.
I think Haku would bite his nose off.
And I think Minoru Suzuki would bite something else off while they were doing it, and they would both end in death. I mean, they would really kill each other. It's that deep.
That's why.
I mean, yeah.
It's like Godzilla Kong. You know, you see it starting, and there's going to be collateral damage.
Yeah, and everybody's going, "Aye!" No, it's a wrap. But yeah, AJ Styles running New Japan, amazing. And I'm not just talking about his title run. I'm talking about all his matches in general. And the thing with Jesse James, he was actually in a wrestling forum group, and I had said something about this while AJ was still in New Japan. And he said, well, is any title reign more significant than the other? It's just a prop. And I basically told him, I was like, and dude, that's why you're failing. Because you're that far back that you really think the title belt is just a prop when he has made this belt significant. He has reemerged the IWGP World title and made it significant worldwide and recognized as a great championship. That's what AJ done.
What you should have said was like, and that's why you never held the title belt.
Right. I mean, but think about it though. Name one WWE wrestler whose title reign has been significant enough to be recognized as that is the world champion of all of pro wrestling, like AJ Styles did. Because when he held that IWGP belt, everyone said that is the best and greatest wrestler on the planet right now.
Probably.
No one is better. Name
Would
one.
you say Brock?
No.
No.
Hell no.
No.
Brock's a novelty act. Let's just be real. He's a novelty act.
Well, special attraction. He's A lot like The Undertaker was
But no,
for most of his career, really.
No, but to bring up Brock, I guess too with this is like think about it. Brock, who was a big name, his first run WWE, then did UFC where he held the title.
Yeah, I think there was
don't even know
more
Brock
shenanigans
Lesnar
with
wrestled
that
in
one,
Japan
wasn't it?
Until he was done in Japan.
Wasn't there
I mean,
more
but see, that's the
shenanigans?
same thing. I mean, even in UFC, Brock was a fucking novelty act. Let's bring this big son of a bitch out here. He's 320 pounds, 6'4". Let's bring him out, put him in the octagon against our guys. Oh my gosh, this motherfucker just won the world title from Randy Couture. Okay, he's a novelty act. Not taking nothing away from him. The guy is NCAA wrestling champion. The guy's won the WWE championship. He won the New Japan, the IWGP championship, won the UFC championship. He played for the Minnesota Vikings. The dude's did a lot. He's still a fucking novelty act. He will always go down as a novelty act. He's a big, shaved fucking gorilla. He's a novelty act.
We got
They'll fuck people up.
we got Eric in the chat saying we got Eric in the chat saying that you can probably look at Triple H to maybe be that. It can be an anytime champion, just like when you mentioned one of the greats to ever hold the title. You say Triple H come up in that conversation.
Would you really say that there was a point in juncture that the entire world agreed Triple H was the greatest wrestler on the planet, like they did AJ at that time?
No.
Exactly.
Maybe when he came back from his injury.
Because in 2002, when he
That was probably when he was at the top of his face game. And I think after that, he suffers a bit because there will always be those to turn their nose up at him and say, you were protected by the machine. You were put here. And I don't think he really deserves that because I think he is great in his own way too. But he knew he was going to have that. I mean, when he had no illusions that people would, use his relationship as a way to make an excuse. All the greats have people who never made it great who will give reasons as to why this person made it and they didn't. And spoiler alert, it's rarely their own fault. So.
I appreciate, his role in wrestling history because it got him to where he is now, and I believe he's doing a lot of good for the company and in the wrestling business. So, if you took all that away from him, I don't think we would get what we got now with current Triple H, and I would be very sad if we did not have that.
I cannot wait for him to run that company.
I honestly think Triple H is an underrated in-ring performer. I like his style. It's got that throwback Harley Race style to it. He a lot of the moves that he uses in his arsenal, he took from a young Harley Race. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that. He studied Harley to a T. He really did.
He just has that superstar like vibe to him. Like even to this day, when he wrestles once a year, usually at WrestleMania, like he just has that big superstar feel, just from his entrance to. You got to think like just everything. I agree with you 100%. Triple H in a weird way changed the game because you can ask 10 people, they're all gonna know. They're all gonna know the guy who puts water in his mouth and spits it out.
Yeah. So I mean, we got to give Triple H his props. I will always give him his props. I was a fan of his when he was terrorizing. So I mean, I'm gonna give him his props.
And I agree. We all know that Triple H is a spitter.
Yeah. Oh, come on now.
Yeah.
I was just repeating what he said.
Vince McMahon. He only swallows Vinnie Mac.
I just don't want him to let Vince McMahon take Karrion Kross from him. Because Karrion Kross is that dude right now.
Killer Kross.
Big fan of his. Anyway, sorry, you can continue.
All right, and the last one, and I didn't put these in chronological order, just throw them out any way you want. The birth of the NWO at Bash at the Beach and Hogan's heel turn. Significant. We cannot talk about pro wrestling without that moment. Hulk Hogan was the most hated man on the pro wrestling planet.
I think Hogan's best work was NWO Hogan.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll never forget Tony Schiavone saying, Hulk Hogan, you could just go to hell. I was like, yes, that just made it go. And a lot of people will say I'm bullshit when I say this. I knew Hogan was turning heel that night. I knew he was the third man. I told everyone he was the third man. And no one seriously, I'll never forget it. I was 18 years old when that happened. And I told everybody, I said, watch, Hulk Hogan hasn't been on TV. Hulk Hogan is turning heel. Hulk Hogan is the third guy in the NWO. Well, the third guy in the Invaders back then. We didn't even know the New World Order.
Right.
And Hogan really fucked up when he done it, because if you watch the back video nowadays, he originally says, the New World Organization. And there was a lot of little things Hulk Hogan flawed up on doing the interview with Mean Gene after the match. But I mean, the whole incident with the guy jumping over and getting his ass kicked by crawling in the ring, and the ring getting paper thrown at it, and everyone booing Hulk Hogan, and Tony Schiavone telling him to go to hell. That was a significant moment in pro wrestling, and that is my top five.
Man, you couldn't be more right with your last one. Not only that, it made the coolest wrestling T-shirt of all time. Don't add me. Let's say
I have one
NWO.
in my room. I have one in my room right now.
It's the coolest wrestling T-shirt of all time. Fight me.
Now you're up.
Oh no. We got Mr. Sandlin. You gonna save me?
That's
for
what
last.
I said. I was pointing at him. Oh well. Wait. Yeah. Your turn.
Yeah. Hey, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. So, in thinking about these what ifs and these top moments, and I don't want to overlap because a couple of mine Anomaly had, but I have a book out. I don't know if you guys know about it or not. I know.
Oh no, do tell. I've never heard of such a thing.
You've never heard of it? Well, I'm the author of the comic series Over the Ropes for Mad Cave Studios. It's 5 issues of a underdog wrestler going off script and stealing the title to become champion of the Southern Territory in year 1991. So it's we just released issue 5 last month, and in August the complete trade paperback will be available for the first time. So all 5 issues together in the trade.
That's what I want.
Well, you can order it. I'll give you the link. You can order it right now. It's for pre-order at madcavestudios.com. They're running $14 for the trade paperback, and it's in digital and paperback if you like, whichever you prefer.
And that's less than 2 cups of coffee at Starbucks.
Yeah, man, especially when you leave a tip. Yeah, I don't even ask for a tip, and but when I was writing Over the Ropes and creating the characters and coming up with it, I had to think about what are some real life areas in wrestling that I'd like to parody. What are things that happen in wrestling history? So there's definitely a Montreal screw job in there. That was one of them. And there was also definitely a heel turn. So my first moment is going to build off what Anomaly said with his number 1, the NWO Hogan heel turn. They didn't know for sure if Hogan was going to go through with that heel turn.
Yeah,
because he had been
talks about that later after the fact.
They had asked him a year prior to do a heel run, probably something like what they did with the Taskmaster, where he put on black makeup and paint and became like a darker Hulk Hogan. They had talked to him about turning all heel at that point. He said no, he wouldn't do it. So the backup plan, if Hogan had not gone through with it, the third man was going to be Sting. So my question is, what would have happened if it had been Sting? Would it have had the same impact? Probably not.
No.
It would have gotten a big reaction. It would have gotten the pop. It wouldn't have gotten the same reaction as Hogan did, with people hurling trash in the ring and, crawling into the ring to actually try and stop him and such. And Tony Schiavone probably wouldn't have said, Sting, you can go straight to hell.
No.
Maybe he would have. I don't know. But in any event, then we would have also lost the Sting and Hogan program. That was the best told story of '97. The botched ending of it notwithstanding. That actually leads me into my 4th point. What would have happened if the main event of Starrcade '97 had not been botched and Sting just came in and beat Hogan the way everybody wanted him to, the way everybody expected to? Nobody would have ever complained about the match ending for that match being predictable, because everybody just wanted to see Sting win. That's what they were paying to see. And we really didn't get to see it. We got the moment with the belt, we got the celebration at the end, but it came after a string of WTFs, botches, and just confusion. So I don't know would WCW have continued that good momentum? A lot of people said that was their moment, that they really got the wins taken out of their sails heavy and never got it back. Any opinions on their anomaly? Or?
I agree. They fucked up. And if I would have been them, I would have called an audible and just left it at that. And because clearly it was a clean pin by Hulk Hogan, I would have called the audible and just left it at that, and somehow brought Bret Hart in to beat Hulk Hogan and change the whole fucking game. I mean, I know I fucking hate to say it because
it was
the build up was so big, but
you're right.
They fucked up.
They almost didn't have the second. If they had called an audible, it would have had to have been an in the moment decision by that second, because the announcers immediately started saying that was no pinfall. We're not even going to acknowledge that 3 count. That was no 3 count. We fast counted him. And you watch that like, no, we didn't. I remember I went to Blockbuster and rented that VHS all the time. And I was rewinded.
Hold on, Jay. Nick, Blockbuster. It was a place where you could go.
I know what Blockbuster was.
I would rewatch that 3 count over and over again, trying to figure out, what am I missing? How is this a fast count? Well, it must be because the announcers are saying it.
Yeah, it was a clusterfuck. And it showed that they had no organized discipline whatsoever in their shows. If that would have been Vinnie Mac just being real, he would have caught an audible and said, look, we fucked up. Neither A, we're going to have to do something on the spot, or B, everybody leaves and we'll re-record this match.
And
something's going to happen there.
Nick Patrick would have been fired.
Yeah, definitely.
Nick Patrick would have been fired, no question. Was he fired by Eric Bischoff? No. In fact, Eric Bischoff had a conversation with him about it, but didn't even raise his voice. He talked about it on his podcast, 83 Weeks. And if you want to hear more about why the Sting booking happened the way it did, his podcast is available, 83 Weeks. But he basically said he had a conversation with Nick Patrick where he said, Nick, what the fuck? Nick said, sorry, messed up. And that was Eric's side of things. Nick Patrick's side of things is that Hogan told him to slow count Sting.
To make him look better.
So I don't know. It's a lot of hearsay.
Yeah. It's definitely a dark spot in WCW. It really knocked the wind out of their sails.
Well, WCW has many dark spots from where they, shit their pants till they closed. But that kind of leads to my next point. There were many times in this Monday Night War where the leads were traded, quality of programming would vary. But generally speaking, you had 2 very entertaining shows. And then WCW just went downhill and never recovered. So there were many times that they could have righted the ship and that it could have been recoverable. What was it, though, that really put WCW down? A lot of people say it was the finger poke of doom. In my opinion, it was Hogan Warrior. What do you guys think?
Shit, Hogan Warrior, finger poke of doom, goddamn taser to the Goldberg and shit.
So when could they have still turned things around? At what point did you just say, click, I'm changing the channel and I'm not going back?
Jeff Jarrett laying down for Hogan.
Mm-hmm. You made it pretty far then, relatively speaking.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people.
And I mean, I'm a Jeff Jarrett mark. So like, I was loving Jeff Jarrett's run when he came back. So I was just loving to see Jeff Jarrett succeed because I've been watching Jarrett on TV since he was 16.
Yeah, you're right, because people swapping shows so quick was exciting. We don't get that now. We're talking about people showing up on Slammiversary and it's 90 days later or whatever. Jeff Jarrett was performing on a pay-per-view the night before. That's something that would rarely, if ever, happen now because of Jeff Jarrett, because they don't want people doing that.
Right.
Jeff Jarrett was on a pay-per-view one night where he held up Vince McMahon for $300,000, had it wire transferred to his account before he would go on stage and lose China because they had let Jarrett's contract expire and nobody noticed. And so when he went out that night for the pay-per-view, he said, "Yeah, I'm not feeling this, Vince, unless I get the money owed to me." He felt he was owed some money. Other people say he just asked Vince for the extra $300,000 to work without a contract that night. So I don't know. You can draw your own conclusions, but Vince wired him the money, and then he showed up on Nitro the next night. And then that's the next what if moment, the night of the simulcast, when Raw shows up on Nitro and basically says, "We won." And I hadn't been watching Nitro in a long time at that point. I think I was in 6th grade at the time. And I hadn't been watching it for a while, but for some reason I just turned it on that night. And I'm glad I did, because there was Vince McMahon on fucking TNT. This is almost like if Hitler was standing on the yard of the White House saying, "The Nazis have won the war." You know, that's what it was to a WCW fan, my friend.
That was extreme.
That's what
That
it
was
fucking was. And there he was, just said, you know, I'm kayfabing, obviously, but this was a big fucking deal to see this character. That's how evil Mr. McMahon was on TV. Mr. McMahon. He comes strutting in, you know. He's strutting in every week. No chance. He's telling Stone Cold that he better get his act together and act like a champion. And Stone Cold is guzzling beer, kicking him in the stomach and giving him a stunner. That's my number one. Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin decided the Monday Night War. It's the best story ever told in wrestling, and it made the business. Anyone want to fight me on that?
I actually had that down as one of my honorable mention was the birth of Austin 316, because Austin ran it. He did.
And it's funny, for those are two different things in my view. Austin 316 happened at 96 King of the Ring, where it was supposed to be Triple H winning, but because of the curtain call, he got axed.
Yeah.
So now Steve Austin, a lot like Kofi Kingston, Steve Austin, this guy who wasn't supposed to be in this spot, gets the spot. He gets a chance to make an impression, and he gave us Austin 316.
And that was one of the greatest after-match interviews in the history of pro wrestling, and that was it was all organic. You could tell, because he just whoops James Snake's ass. He's like, "You talk about your Psalms and your John 3:16, Austin 3:16 just said I whooped your ass." Man, that was great television.
And
just even listening to those words come out of his mouth, there was no way in hell that there was a writers' table, round table meeting or whatever, and somebody's like, "Hey, say this shit."
Yeah, no.
And the context makes it even better, because Jake Roberts, everybody even knew back then, when there were just dirt sheets, that Jake Roberts had substance abuse problems.
Yeah.
And when he came back on the show, he was doing his born-again Christian gimmick, where I call it that because it was an act, and I think he's admitted that. But he comes out, and now his snake, Damien, has been renamed Revelations, and he talks about how God's changed his heart and shit. And Austin just beats the shit out of him and says, "You talk about your job." Yeah. And after that, it wasn't immediate, because he wasn't even on TV for a couple of weeks after that promo. They didn't know he was going to do that. They didn't have any plan for it to get that reaction. But yeah, that storyline, I think everybody related to it, because whether you were a kid in school or a guy at work, everyone had a boss or a teacher or someone that they just wanted to drink a beer in their face, kick them in the stomach, give them the thing. That's why it worked, I'd say.
Yeah. I had every Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt that I could ever get my hands on.
See, even the Bionic Redneck one, that was terrible.
Well, that was
a bad nickname. Who the fuck nicknamed him the Bionic Redneck? Really?
Well, because he had the broke neck, he had the fucking 2 knee braces and shit. So I mean, he was the Bionic Man.
And his real name was Steve Williams.
Aha.
Right.
And the person who told him he couldn't wrestle at Steve Williams was Zeb Coulter. also known as Dutch Mantel, who was he was the booker for the territory that Steve was working when he first started. And he said, "What's your name?" He said, "Steve Williams." He said, "No, you can't be Steve Williams. We got Doctor. There's already a Doctor
Yeah,
Death.
there's already just Steve Williams.
What are you going to be?" He's like, "I don't know." He's like, "Well, you got 10 minutes to figure it out." Then he came back 10 minutes later and said, "What's your name going to be?" He said, "I still don't know." I was like, "What town are you from?" Like, Austin.
Austin.
So if Steve Williams had been born in, you know, I'm trying to think of like a really wimpy name for a town.
Waco.
Actually, it's Steve Waco.
Waco.
Steve Waco is kind of a badass wrestling name. So no, that's
Steve El Paso.
he lived in Fairview.
Well, shit. What if he was from here? Steve Houston. There you go.
Steve Houston. Then you just then Bobby Heenan would never stop saying, "We got a problem. We got a problem. Houston, Houston."
Yeah, I'm glad that wasn't the case.
What you got
Right.
for us, Rob?
You have Jim Ross in there. Houston, Houston, we got a problem. Jericho, we got a sassafras.
All right. Is it on me?
Yeah,
No,
yeah, the best for last.
Oh, snap. So there's going to be a running theme with mine, and a lot of them just kind of run into each other and whatnot. But my number one is the Mark Henry retirement. Well, not my number one,
Right.
first on the list. So whenever Mark Henry came out there in that salmon-colored suit, when John Cena was in the ring and everything, and he was announcing his retirement, I think he even brought his boots out there with him or whatnot, which is symbolic of, you know, wrestler leave his boots in the ring, he gonna retire. So he came out there and he hit him with the flim flam, world's strongest slam, and we have the freaking title feud between John Cena and Mark Henry, and I loved
That Mark
every
Henry
goddamn minute of it. I was shocked, I was surprised, I was like, I thought this motherfucker was really retiring, because I think at that time, to me,
He was older.
yeah, and it was just like he ain't doing shit. He just running around the ring smiling and shit with his nice braids and shit, with his hairline in the back of his ears and shit. So I was like, yeah, man, this dude can retire. And but oh boy, did he hit me with the flim flam? I was
He should
really
have
shocked
won
at
that,
that.
though. They dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, they did, but I mean, it is what it is. But I really love that whole thing, and it just, even when they show clips and highlights of it today, I'm just like, that motherfucker got me. He got me good.
Did you hear him at the Hall of Fame when he got inducted? And he put the jacket on, and it was huge on him, first off. And then he was like, "I'm not done." And then he called out like Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, whatever. And then he's like, "Nah, I'm just playing." He's like, "Me, my boy, we call this the lion ass jacket." If you haven't seen it, you have to go watch his Hall of Fame.
I'll have to look that up. I missed that one.
Hall of Fame 2018.
Yeah. All right, next, in the same vein of fake ass retirements, I got The Undertaker leaving the shit in the ring against Roman Reigns and shit. So I mean, Nick
I knew that
talked
one.
about this and everything, and pissed me the fuck off, because I've historically said it on this show, my show, phone conversations with other motherfuckers, that
In person.
in person with people, yes, you're right, that this pissed me off to no fucking end. Not in the moment, because to me, it was real. It was actually happening. We were seeing a freaking iconic moment in wrestling history. The Undertaker, after buku years, he has been a wrestler as long as I've been alive. He has been a wrestler as long as I've been a wrestling fan. And I'm just like, it's an end of an era. And not too long before that, I myself had retired from the military. So it was like, oh, it was hitting me all up in the freaking feelings and shit. So I was just like boo-hooing and tears. I mean, I wasn't like, yeah, he retired and shit like that. But like, it was some moisture in my tear ducts and shit. And I said, this pissed me off because I did that shit in front of my wife. And we've been together going on 13 fucking years. I done watched her give birth. We done had marital problems and all kind of arguments and other bullshit. Not one tear shed in my motherfucking life between, that 13 years. But this big, tall bitch leave his shit in the ring, leave, had me boo-hoo, then that sorry son of a bitch came back. But it was a significant moment in wrestling history, one that
All I get out of
ultimately
this is-
pissed me the fuck off.
All I get out of this is that the Undertaker owns you, and you can never talk shit about him again.
What happened?
The Undertaker owns your ass.
Fuck that dude.
Fuck what you say. That's why you moved to Texas, so you can be close to him.
No.
Yeah.
So I could be close to him. I could choke his motherfucking ass and kick him in the dick.
Rob, you lost credibility with your Undertaker. Take that hat off.
Fuck your couch. Next, my third one, another fake ass retirement. Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair. One of the best retirement send-offs I've ever seen in my life, professional wrestling wise.
Yep.
And this bitch would also leave to go wrestle many moons after this in another company.
Well, to be fair, he was only retired from WWE, right?
Shut the fuck up, Jay.
No.
That bitch retired.
He's
That
gone on
motherfucker
air.
retired. He got the most
Retired
beautiful.
with an asterisk.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
He's been on the record.
All the three things that I've mentioned so far have had asterisks on it.
He's been on the record numerous times saying how he had to do it because of alimony, divorce, and all that.
Yeah, I understand that or whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I mean,
but
it's still.
He feels bad that he did that. Because think about it, that dude. We've all probably watched that Raw, where you see everyone and their mother gets their entrance, hugs him, he's crying. Charlotte Flair's there, who nobody knows who she is yet. Then it goes off air. Then they have the exclusive with the Undertaker comes out and does the whole. Vince McMahon comes out like, yo, you got the best retirement anyone could ever get.
Yeah.
Right.
Chuck Palumbo was on stage. You know what I mean? Anyone you could think of.
Chuck Palumbo.
Anyone you could think of was on stage. Yeah.
But I mean, I understand. Personal issues.
TNA.
Yeah, personal issues trump, whatever the fuck, man. Because, I talk mad shit about The Undertaker and everything, but I've always said I may not like it personally as a fan, but I cannot wrong a man for doing what he got to do to provide for himself and his family. And if that's what the case was, or, that's what it is. I can't be mad at him for that. But the character, that sorry son of a bitch, no. Don't like it.
Your next fake retirement.
Close. Shawn Michaels, Undertaker 1.
Oh, that's the best match.
And then Shawn Michaels, Undertaker 2. Those are my next two. I mean, it's one and the same, and it all led to a retirement for Shawn Michaels. This is probably what it was. I can't remember if it was the first one or the second one. It might have had to be the second one. But damn, this was the only time, because I never forced wrestling on my kids. But this was the very first time that I grabbed my son and I sat him down on my lap and I made him watch this match. It meant a lot to me. I thought it was great. Just the whole story being told from, year to year and everything. And it was just fucking amazing. And I didn't want him to miss this shit. He could probably never watch wrestling a day in his life again, but I can go into that good night comfortably knowing that I sat him down and made him watch at least this one match.
You can even add in there, not to that, them, but even Taker said in the last ride, those 4 matches, the 2 with Shawn and the 2 with Triple H, that was some great storytelling for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And then Crown Jewel ruined it.
Did Crown Jewel ruin it? No, I think not, sir.
I
Anything past the end of the era match with Triple H ruined it.
You know how in comic books they'll have Elseworlds comics that don't take place in the same continuity?
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Arabia shows.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia shows are non-canon. They happened in other realities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's just it's a what if comic. That's what that is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my five, man. And I'll
That
go
was only
around the
four.
horn real quick, and I'll mention my two honorable mentions. Anomaly touched on it earlier. One of those honorable mentions for me was AJ Styles Nakamura at WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom 10. You know, that was really good for me because Wrestle Kingdom 9, which is my other honorable mention, it was introduced to me. Jeff Jarrett had a big hand in bringing that to the States. And as Nick was saying, AJ Styles is over there doing tremendous shit. And I wanted to see this damn thing. So those two are one and the same because one, watching Wrestle Kingdom 9 introduced me to the greatness, which is Shinsuke Nakamura. And I was like, what? And I think that was the year he came out. He had the freaking girls on the poles and everything and whatnot. And it was just fucking crazy. I was like, who the hell is this guy? And why have I not seen more of this person?
Well,
And
Rob,
then-
He stole the show too. He stole the show too with Ibushi. That was probably the greatest match in the last 5 years.
Mhm.
That match is
Right.
amazing.
Yeah.
do you remember?
And-
So Rob just started doing his main show, and I think this was like episode 2,
Yeah.
and it was the beginning of 2016. And I went over to his house, and we were talking. And he's like, "Yo, you got to watch this match," and we watched it right there. It was AJ and Nakamura, because I watched few, and I was like, "Damn!" I'm like, "We need both these fools to come to WWE so I can see them more regularly." Granted, that match happened in WWE, not as good, obviously.
No hell.
But-
Not as good
And then
at
we were
all.
talking about if AJ would ever come to WWE when he
Yeah.
would, and then like a week later he debuted in the Rumble.
Yeah, no shit, right? And you know what? Now that we speak, you bring up the Royal Rumble and everything. Jay, Anomaly, Nick, I think we should get together again later on, and we should do something similar to this with the Royal Rumble. I think
Okay.
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, we
Book
have that
it.
group text so we can figure it out.
Hey, man, we got damn Daniel George in the motherfucking chat.
Hey, Douglas.
Damn Daniel. Look at them white Chris Vans, Daniel. But yeah, that was my honorable mention. AJ Styles versus Nakamura, Wrestle Kingdom 10, and just being introduced to freaking New Japan Pro Wrestling with the introduction to Wrestle Kingdom 9. So what you got, Anomaly, for your two honorable mentions? I know you mentioned one of them, but what was the other one?
Yeah. Well, my first one was the birth of Austin 316, and
Yeah.
I mean, I think more people should go back and watch that King of the Ring and see the match that he had prior to that with one Mark Mero, because that match is amazing. It was honestly the best match Mark Mero ever had in his life, and I mean that's just saying something, because the dude was not the greatest.
Oh
ever.
shit! You see that feature right there? I didn't know that was possible. That was fucking awesome.
He
I'm gonna have to
never
start
owned-
doing more. of that.
Hey, me neither, man. I've never owned Vans, and I got a very expensive shoe collection, so I feel you.
Oh, this is
That's a
fucking
nice
cool.
photo, George. That's a nice photo, Douglas.
That was fucking cool.
And,
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
That was neat. I feel like we're official now. That's pretty dope. But my second one, honestly, is Brock beating the streak.
Where it
That's my
was a
honorable
great
mention.
fucking opportunity for some old bitch to retire.
Retired. Yeah.
I'm always with people when these happen. So I was with George at one of his friends' house in Lejeune when Brock beat The Undertaker, and George was going for Brock. And I was like, dude, there's no way The Undertaker's ever going to lose the WrestleMania. And he did, and we didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
shocked
I
as
didn't. I'm still upset the streak ended, but I mean, it has to give honorable mention because it was a significant moment in professional wrestling when the Undertaker's streak ended.
Well, because I think a lot of people thought right there that he was done.
Yeah, he should have been.
He should have been. He should have been. That loss with Roman Reigns should have never happened, man. In the match, come on, dude, just
You
give
know
it
what?
up.
If we can combine things and do this Elseworld shit that Jay was saying, I wish there was a scenario to where the streak ended at 30 and he did the shit that he did in the Roman Reigns match at the end, where he put his gloves and his hat and his coat in the ring after that, and that bitch just ninja vanished.
Well,
Never seen him
minus
again.
the concussion.
You can't never see him again. I mean, he'd have to show up from time to time, but never.
Well, I mean, that's
wrestle
fine,
again.
but I want to see the bitch go away, get inducted, and
Yeah,
do your little pop up here and there, choke slam,
But, Rob,
disappear,
wait,
choke
Rob,
slam,
did you
disappear,
watch-
but
did
no
you watch
fucking
the
full
last-
matches. No.
Did you watch the last ride though, Rob?
Not yet.
Well, I'm gonna ruin something because I don't.
Yeah, that's
care.
fine. You can do it. That's okay.
So in the last one, he pretty much said, "I'm done getting in the ring," but if Vince ever had to break glass in case of emergency and needed the Undertaker, I'd consider it.
He
You
didn't break
know
it.
he's gonna do that.
The glass is all on the floor. Vince has been walking barefoot across that bitch for as long as forever. The glass doesn't need to be broken. It's already broken.
Well,
you got to
he's
put
gonna
you got to
he's
put the
gonna
pane of
re-break
glass in the box to be broken before you can, shit.
Well,
the
Rob,
fuck?
he's gonna break it again, so suck it up.
Jay, what was your honorable mentions?
I think I'm out.
Very well. Nick, honorable mentions.
Oh, I only had one when Flair won the Rumble and he cut the promo with a tear in his eye.
Yes.
I'd say that.
Yes.
Word.
I feel it.
I just had a what if because that's the other part, the what ifs. I was gonna say, imagine like when before AEW happened, they were offering like those insane contracts to like Cody, the Bucks, and Kenny.
Yeah. What if
Like,
they took
what,
it, right?
What if they came? Like, what if being the Elite was actually going to be on the network, which was promised by Triple H? Like, that was in their contract. Like,
I
I don't know.
man.
I don't know. Hangman Page
Oh,
getting
no.
main roster money on NXT, and then like, what matches would they have gone with?
See, and it's sad though because it's as great as it could have been, it would have sucked at the same time. Because look at all the
Yeah.
tremendous talent that they have
Yeah.
right now on any roster. Point at any WWE roster, and you can.
Yep.
There's
Because you know
great
what would
talent top
happen?
to bottom, and
They
But
would have signed. They would have signed in 2019 January. You would have had Bucks and New Day at Mania, probably Omega and Rollins, Cody and I don't know someone. So they're just like everyone else. Their first year would have been great, like Nakamura's, and then it'd be it.
yeah, then they just be
AJ's the
running
only one
around
that
hitting
came
people in the
from somewhere
nuts.
else that maintained it.
There's a few great things that came out of the Nakamura coming to WWE. When you cut that backstage interview when he was like, "Men speak no English." That shit was amazing. That shit, I love that shit so much.
He's
Speaking
had
of
some good matches though.
speaking of recommendations for great wrestling matches, boom.
Douglas, I need you to send me the link. George finds all these links for me. He's a real MVP.
That is a great fucking match. He is not lying. That's a great. Anything with Shibata is great, but
Mhm.
I've
those
never
two,
seen that, so I have to watch that.
yeah. And he just touched on my what if too, because my what if is what if Okada came to the WWE?
Oh man,
That would have got fucked up. He'd be in a tag
Just
team with
imagine.
Nakamura.
I think
Nah, you'd have to do that right, man. You'd have to have him standing there on Raw with the Rainmaker and just come on, dude.
Who do
I
you,
think-
who
that
do you
would-
think right
That
now?
would get me into it.
It
Who
could
do
be
you think on
good,
the
but I think
current-
they would jack him up. He wouldn't have that presentation that he has in New Japan or whatever. I don't think they would had zoom in and zoom out on the camera when he put his arms out and all that stuff. I don't think they would emphasize the drop kick and all that shit and whatnot. You know, he would lose a lot of his flair and whatnot if he did ever come to WWE.
I got my link
What's
for
that
the
for?
match.
Oh, for the match. Okay.
Yeah, he sent it.
Okay, and
Nick,
then
you're
we
gonna
got
love that match.
yeah, we got this comment from Eric here. When Undertaker lost the streak, that was one of the only time that WWE royally pissed me off and made me boycott WWE for a couple of months. You goddamn right.
Remember all the links that went around the internet? Like, it was botched, that wasn't supposed to happen, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I like Paul Heyman's interview he did where he basically said, who really knows if Brock
Yeah.
went into business on his own?
hmm
Can any of y'all tell us? Was it a work or was it just Brock going into business for himself?
And I also like
Heyman is
how
gold.
Nick stole his office clock and hung it on the wall behind him there.
It's a nice watch, isn't it? I got it for free, for being
I
honest.
know you stole it. That's what it's free when you steal it.
My buddy gave it to me. And I was like, hey, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
He's like, you want to try to fix it? I literally just put in a 1 AA battery and it worked.
Goddamn millennials. Don't know how to
Actually,
fix
yo,
clocks.
do you remember De Leon?
Yeah, yeah.
It was him.
I'm not surprised now. Very well. So there you have it. We have concluded our top 5 favorite wrestling moments, matches, or whatever you want to call them, and whatnot. And we got our what if scenarios in there. I mean, shit. Happy 50, gentlemen. Happy 50.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, I mean, what do you want to do for here? We already been running for an hour, 20 minutes. I know today.
Do you want to run down the?
Yeah,
the quick,
today
the card quick,
is
just
WWE
predictions,
Extreme
nothing crazy?
Rules 2020. And
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah,
Huh?
I haven't been watching the product, so I'm
Hey, join the club.
going to bail out and feed my son a bit, and I'm going to listen to what you guys think about it and keep an eye on it. But I wanted to thank you for bringing the historian back on, and keep an eye on my podcast because I'm going to be rebranding it soon.
Word.
There will be no more What Happens Next. It will be a new show, new format, music, intro, and guests where on my podcast, I love talking wrestling, but comic books and writing is my main passion, and that's what we talk about with professional writers rotating on my show. So go check it out, and I'll send you guys links. I hope you'll check out the Over the Ropes trade paperback. It's coming out in August. So
Yeah, I'm on that.
a pre-order would be a big help in making a volume 2 possibly happen, because there's no plans for one at the moment, but they're going to have to wait and see. COVID paused the entire comic book industry for a good 90 days.
Damn you!
So we're going to see what happens, but I'll catch you guys on the flippity flop.
All right, thank you, sir.
Take it easy.
Thanks.
So no, I'll just run down the match quick, and we literally just say who we think is gonna win.
Very well.
Asuka versus Sasha. I'm going Asuka. But I
Oscar.
wouldn't be mad if Sasha won, obviously.
Yeah, I would not be mad as well if Sasha did win, and I don't think she will win because of this the background storyline that got going on with her and Bayley and whatnot. I think it would be cool visually and awesome, historically, that we would have 2 double champs running all the shows and whatnot. Sasha being the Raw Women's Champion and Women's Tag Champion, and Bayley being the SmackDown Women's Champion and Tag Champion.
That would be awesome.
Pretty cool. And I said in let's use what Jay said, one of those Elseworld situations and whatnot, that we would have freaking Sasha with the women's title for Raw, Bayley with the women's title for SmackDown, and they have a match to have all the goddamn belts and shit. Both women's title and the tag titles and whatnot. It's a la Kurt Angle TNA when he had all the belts. He had the tag belts, he had the championship belt, he had the X Division title. He had all the belts on freaking Impact at the same damn time.
That's awesome still. Who do you got now, Lee?
He said Oscar.
Oscar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then
And-
you got Bayley.
Eric in the chat also said Sasha is going to beat Oscar.
I wouldn't like to say mad.
Are you still here, Daniel? Do you have any
I
opinions?
have
Do you have a
his in
pick?
front of me. I don't know if he left, but he went Oscar. I have his in front of me.
Oh, very well.
I don't know. I told him to send it here, but I don't know if he had to leave or something. Maybe that's why I
Okay.
sent it quick.
What you got next, Nick?
Bayley versus Nikki Cross. I think we can skim across this because I think once again we're all going to think Bayley.
Ha, skip across.
Bayley.
I see. And then the next one, same thing, probably Drew McIntyre versus Dolph with the mystery stipulation. Maybe we can talk about that. But I don't know if you guys saw on Instagram, The Rock kind of gave Dolph some praise.
Mhm.
Well, if you said it right there in all caps, Oscar.
Hey, Eric, if you're listening to whatever, who you got out of freaking? Oh, you got Bayley. There you go.
Yep. Then you got McIntyre versus Dolph. I think we're probably going to go McIntyre across, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, McIntyre.
I want to know what the stipulation is going to be, though, because you never know. They're having an eye for an eye match, so it could literally be anything. For some reason, I'm thinking hair. I don't know why. And it's
A
got
hair
Bayley.
match.
Oh, you think
Since
Dolph?
1990 Tennessee, I mean,
Hey, man, if this was 2014, 2013, I'd be all about Ziggler winning.
And you know what? I mean, is what we get out of Dolph current day. You know, if some weird circumstances would make him the champion tonight, I honestly, I wouldn't even really be mad. I would love it to see how the internet would explode. That would be fucking awesome.
Dolph is a glorified jobber. I've never seen his upside. I mean, he's a great in-ring performer, but his persona is lacking. He's not a star in my eye. He's never been a star in my eye.
Drew made my niece make odd girl sound effects.
That last bit. Next,
all right, what you got next?
You got the eye for the eye match.
The eye for eye match, which is going to go down in history as one of the wackest matches in WWE
to win,
history.
you have to pull out your opponent's eye. I'm going with Rollins.
All right, so anomaly. See, because of matches like this, it goes back to your statement earlier. Kayfabe died a long fucking time ago. And
the only eye for an eye match was Vader versus Hanson, and it was a fucking accident.
Yes, that was an accident.
Unless that shit happens, this match fucking sucks. I don't even want to see a winner. I hope they both lose.
Yes. But you know what? It's got me intrigued to want to see. So they did their job, at least with me.
I have no desire to see that shit.
Ray's gonna rip out Rollins' eye.
Oof, dangerous. Who do you two got?
I hope they both lose.
Yes, because if it's an eye for an eye, then we're both blind. Wasn't that a saying or some shit like that?
The next one. This is the only match that really I don't care who wins, but I'm torn. A tables match for the SmackDown titles. New Day versus Cesaro and Nakamura. I'm going New Day, but I wouldn't be mad to see Nakamura win this. And if Nakamura wins, I want Rollins, but I want Ray because that's cool with an eye patch. They look like a pirate.
Oh, if Rollins did, lose an eye, goddamn, he had that eye patch on. That motherfucker would look like a pirate. He looked like fucking Paul Burchill or some shit like that.
But y'all remember Scotty Riggs?
Yeah. Man, slept on. Raven hit him with the drop toe hold. His eye on the leg of the chair. I remember that shit.
Yeah.
But I'm going New Day. But mind you, if Nakamura and Cesaro win, Nakamura is only one WWE or Universal title away from being a Grand Slam champion.
With that being said, I'm going Cesaro and Nakamura. I want
Shinsuke to win, so he has another accolade though.
Yeah, we got Nakaro.
I like that. I'm going for Nakaro.
Hell yeah.
New Day. Okay. So the next one, Apollo Crews versus MVP for the U.S. title.
MVP.
I'm going Apollo, but I would not. What do you guys?
I know it might be Apollo, but you know how I feel about MVP. So I'm gonna say MVP 10 times out of 10, not 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10.
I hope they move forward with that faction of like Apollo end up going heel with him and Bobby.
And then we also seen him talking to Cedric Alexander too, trying to recruit him as well.
Yeah, Cedric Alexander. I'd be down with that.
See, look, Eric is on the same wavelength. There you go, MVP all day.
What do you guys think of the new title?
I like it.
It's all right. It's all right.
I think I'm the only one going Apollo here.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Montel Vontavious Porter.
Mm-hmm.
I hope. And then the last one we got here, a non-title Wyatt swamp fight. Strowman versus Wyatt. I'm going Wyatt because this is going to set up for the Fiend at SummerSlam.
I know you hadn't been.
But if Strowman wins, that means Strowman's already beat him twice. That means the Fiend has to win at SummerSlam. You're not going to have the Fiend lose 3 times.
That's Eric on the current United States title.
Oof, it's a big take. But I'm going Wyatt though still. Or shenanigans.
Yeah, I believe Wyatt will lose. I mean, I like your point there about ultimately it ending with the Fiend, and the Fiend taking the title. And plus, it's a non-title match, so I mean, what the fuck, why
Yeah, it only
even do
makes
it?
sense for Wyatt to win.
And then what I was thinking about, I haven't been keeping up as well, but I just so happened to listen to the highly loud and rushed promo of Braun Strowman for Friday, and he made some points about every mistake and bad decision he's ever made in his life is embodied in the Fiend. The Fiend is all his bad choices and decisions, and everything wrong in his life that he's done is embodied in the Fiend. And I kind of like that as a storyline and whatnot, because Braun Strowman facing Bray Wyatt, then facing the cult leader Bray Wyatt. He's facing all these iterations of the Bray Wyatt, as in he's challenging and fighting his inner demons as well. And
The
the
Fiend gonna
Fiend
take it out.
ultimately being his biggest task to beat. I kind of like that.
Who you got, Anomaly?
I hope Tommy Dreamer shows up and shoots them both and then shoots himself on national television.
Ew.
I have no desire to see this fucking match. Fuck this
Ew.
bitch.
I don't either, but goddamn.
Do you think they ruined Bray Wyatt since he's came back as the Fiend yet? Yeah, that's the only reason you got to go Wyatt, the non-title.
The whole thing sucks. I just think they're buying time till COVID-19's over.
Yeah.
I really do. All this shit is just buying time.
And
Yeah.
then apparently
There's
this
no
match is
significance.
going to be this match. I think is going to be good though because it's going to be cinematic. The same people who did the Boneyard match are doing this, and the
I
Firefly
didn't like
one.
the Boneyard match. I did not like the Boneyard match.
I didn't watch the Boneyard match.
I couldn't.
You know
it did
why,
not hold my
right?
interest.
You know why I didn't watch the motherfucker, right?
Because that sorry.
That sorry son of a...
No, I did not dig the cinematic Boneyard match. I didn't dig it at
I thought it
all.
was
My kids
great.
made me watch it. No, my kids made me watch it, and I was like, "What is this horse shit? This is not
I mean,
wrestling."
I didn't completely not see it, but I seen like little bits and pieces of it. And
And I
from a
heard
visual
Wyatt,
standpoint, it looked pretty cool. But
Wyatt apparently had a lot of creative with this, so he's a pretty smart dude. I think this one, and then I think the Eye for an Eye is a cinematic one because I don't know how they're going to pull this off.
The cinematic matches, for one,
Let's
the
get it.
Boneyard match was a ripoff of a bunch of other shit I'd already seen.
Yeah.
For two, the match sucked. For three, I've seen independent music videos filmed with iPhones that look better than that shit. It was not good to me. I just did not like it. I don't get what everybody else dug about it. I listened to a podcast where Bubba Ray praised it and said it was amazing. I was like, did you see the same fucking shit I seen, or are you just sucking AJ's dick? The match sucked. Let's just be honest. No one is going to want to watch this match in 20 years. No one is going to want to watch this like they want to watch Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat at Chi-Town. No one is going to want to watch this match like they want to watch Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat. Just to name Ricky and a couple more. All right. It's a fucking shit show match that was put together because of COVID-19. Let's just be real. This match is not memorable. These whole little cinematic matches are not memorable. Fuck them.
well, there you go.
Well, I think
couldn't have
Otis
50.
throwing a pie. I thought Otis throwing the pie in John Laurinaitis' face was pretty iconic.
I wish y'all
Get the
could have.
title to Otis.
I wish y'all could have heard the horns after Anomaly's rant.
WWE, I think I might need to take a break if Otis cashes in on the Fiend.
Whoa! I forgot about that. That dude got the
Yeah, that
the
would be
briefcase.
That I think like
Let-
me who'll defend WWE till the day I die.
Look, check it out. This is what we do.
That was the worst mistake.
No.
Like,
This is what we do. We have Wyatt and goddamn Strowman and the goddamn Swamp tussling and everything, and I guess an alligator come up out the swamp and pull them both down and drag them deep, and then Otis just kind of lay the briefcase on the ground and walk out with the belt. Can we do that?
No.
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 I mean, do you remember when they used to have mud wrestling matches at strip clubs? I mean, that's what this reminds me of. Except
Fair.
there's no breast and no vagina. I mean, what the fuck, dude? Who wants to see this shit?
Very well. Very well.
I'd rather see
But
Gilbert
that's
in the street. I mean, fuck.
And that's Extreme Rules. I did shake Otis's hand, Douglas, but I don't want him beating the Fiend.
Oh yeah.
He might not be bad. I don't know. I just don't want him beating the Fiend. That's all I care about. You cannot beat the Fiend.
Nah, fuck that. Have him cash in and have him have a one-on-one match. The Fiend versus Otis. That would be fucking great TV. I would love
Bunch
every
of
minute
meat.
of it.
A
Because
bunch
I
of
know
meat.
a lot of people would be hating every minute of it.
Did you watch the New Day podcast when Big E was talking about his dream match with Goldberg?
Yeah. Big meaty men slapping meat.
That's what it would be with the Fiend and Otis.
Oh man.
By the way, Big E for champ.
Yeah, Big E is yes. When I seen
And Naomi,
when I seen him in
yeah.
NXT,
You see Naomi's name trending on Twitter?
yeah.
We'll see what they do with that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Yep.
Extreme Rules.
That's Extreme Rules. Well, gentlemen, we have been through a whole bunch of extreme circumstances as far as our opinions on certain individuals and whatnot. But we have exhausted our time for this episode. And here we are, episode 50 of Wrestling is Trash. I appreciate you, gentlemen, for joining me on this journey. Anomaly, Nick, Jay, wherever you are.
The chat.
Before we go, Jay didn't say it, but damn, where can we find gentlemen on social media?
Instagram and Twitter, Nick Anicelli. No Facebook.
Just how you see his name here on the screen, just all one word.
No Facebook.
You can find me on Twitter at Nomaly49, or
Yeah,
you can
you don't
find
put
me
the
on
A on it.
Facebook.
You don't put
No,
the A
you
on
just-
Twitter. You just put Nomaly.
Nah. Yeah. I had to be inventive. And under my government name on Facebook, Christopher Yates. Just look for the big ass arms and the flashy attitude. My friends list is filled up like the Section 8 list, waiting for housing. So bear with me, give me
Or
time
base housing.
to get to you. Yeah, give me
On
time,
base
dude.
housing.
Hey, seriously, I got like over 1,000 friend requests right now. Fucking nuts.
Because you're awesome.
But yeah, and well, thank you. I try. And I'm also very active on the Wrestling is Trash page. Not as active as of late because I was moving, but we might start the Monday match of the week again soon.
Word, I'm down with that.
Yes, sir.
So, on behalf of myself, Nick Anicelli, Anomaly, and Jay Sandlin, we bid you a fond adieu, and we see you next time. Go the fuck on!
Peace.